Hi, everyone. Welcome. I wanted to start this episode of Recovering Our Wholeness Together with Lynn and Andrea by dedicating this episode to my cousin Marky Gallion. Her birth name is Marguerite Cecile Gallion, and she was born in February of 1969. Um, and she's probably the closest thing I ever had to a sister. She's been missing. Our family hasn't known where she is for many, many years. And so I just have some hope that somebody that maybe watches this video will know her and reach out to her. Her last known whereabouts were in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I just want her to know that we love her and she's welcome home anytime. So I am Lynn Galliano. I am a dedicated designated, we don't stop for mistakes, we just keep rolling, a designated She Recovers Foundation coach and a wife and a mom. My pronouns are she, her. I am in recovery from lack mentality, alcohol use disorder, childhood and adolescent trauma and stressors, anxiety, all of the things. I live on the unceded territory of the Bay Miwok people here in the East Bay of Northern California. And I let's see, I'm a behavior analyst for my Monday through Friday job. I work with kids on the autism spectrum and support their families. But my passion is recovery and especially using the tool of the system of Reiki. I'm a Holy Fire Reiki master and a mindfulness trainer. So that was a long mouthful. And Andrea, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Lynn. Thank you for that. My name is Andrea Bernstein. My pronouns are she, her. I live in Philadelphia, which is the traditional land of the Lenape people. I'm in recovery from lots of things, from alcohol, anxiety, disordered eating, grief, and loss. Some other things too. I'm a mom of two teenage boys. My oldest will be 20 in a few weeks, so almost a 20-year-old and a teenager. And I've been married for over 20 years, and I'm originally from Boston. My day job is working as a licensed professional counselor in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. I'm also a certified professional coach. I have a She Recovers designation as well. And I am a Reiki level 3 master practitioner in the Usui lineage.
Awesome. I'm going to read a short bio that Tina sent me, and then I'm going to let her kind of introduce herself more. So, our very first guest speaker, I'm so excited, is Tina Ojeda-Willis. She's a Reiki master, a shaman, a soul flow master practitioner, and a 911 dispatcher. She has 11 years of sobriety and is passionate about helping others. As you can see, it's infused into every aspect of her life. Follow her on her Instagram. I will drop that in the comments below this video. And she knows the importance of continuing to heal herself so that she can continue showing up for others. So, Tina, please feel free to introduce yourself.
Yay! Am I the first guest speaker here? That's amazing. Oh my God, thank you for having me. As she said, I'm Tina. Yes, I have a lot of those titles, Reiki master, soul flow master practitioner. I'm very shaman minded, 911 dispatcher, all of the things. So literally everywhere I am at in my life, I'm working with heavy energy. And I'm able to like hold space for that because I keep healing myself, especially through recovery. I big on giving back and not just disappearing after getting what I need. So that's kind of what I try to do. So I say yes to beautiful experiences like this. I keep saying yes to them and showing up and learning and staying teachable and growing. And so yeah, I'm very excited to be here.
Thank you. We're really excited to have you. I did specifically choose you to be our first guest, and I want to say why that was. I can't, Andrea and I were talking about this before. I can't remember like how I very first found you. It was maybe through a Reiki hashtag and noticed that you were local to me. Like we live like 45 minutes apart. But whatever it was that first brought me to you, I followed you on Instagram and I just noticed that there was such incredible energy and that you've gone in the couple of years that I've watched you, you just keep growing and changing and you add things and you've gone from having just like, a practice in your home, you now have an actual brick and mortar office. You do, I'll let you even talk about like all of the things that you do, but you do things at night. You do Reiki circles where you're bringing in women to have meetings with about 10 different women. You bring in shamanism. You also really talk about things that you are doing with yourself and how it affects your life. And so, what I noticed the most about you is that everything that you post is just infused with joy. And sometimes, Reiki can come off as very serious, like we're all meditating and we're all like these gurus. And that is not Tina Ojeda. Tina Ojeda is like, hell yeah, come on over. It's a party. It's look at the moon. Woohoo, sparkle, sparkle, fire. And I have to say, I'm like one of your biggest fans because what you put out there is like sort of what I hope to grow up to become. Like I'm not doing it now. I have a serious, like you do, a very serious day job. But I hope someday I do have like a actual brick and mortar business and I can do this and just kind of like really put my life into it. So my first question is, where do you get this joy from? Where is it coming from?
Thank you for everything you just said. That made me emotional. And oh my God, can I just say real quick, because social media was something that I never had in my life. I've never needed it in any aspect. I didn't like it. I didn't want it. And I finally, a little over a year ago, I finally got on Instagram because of my business. And so everybody has watched me completely grow up social media wise, because I didn't know, I still don't know like I've literally learned as I've went. And the people that would follow me in the beginning, and you are one of them, like have held me and supported me through that. Like, so thank you. Like, it feels very good to be
It's
seen
been
in that way.
amazing. It's so fun.
It's so cool to know, like, to like experience that. But the joy, like, I get told a lot that I smile a lot. Like, my husband will be like, "Do you know that you're smiling right now?" And I'm just like, "No, am I?" So I kind of, I come from such a dark history. No, I don't want to say I come from, because I don't. I had a beautiful upbringing. I, through choices with my disease, put myself into a dark place. And I think because I survived that, I'm very aware that I am given a second chance at life.
Mm.
And so I want to like make the most out of that I possibly can. But I mean, even as a kid, I think I was always goofy and joyful. And for me, it's just, I don't really know. I don't know how to answer that specifically, other than why not? It's like, why
Perfectly
not?
good
Like,
answer.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really contagious. It really is.
Thank you.
Yes. It's yeah, one of the things that I notice is that um there's something that's very welcoming. If I had a personal hashtag, ooh, Andrea, maybe this could be one of our questions that we do on this podcast is what would your hashtag be? So see, we literally like make stuff
I
up as we
love
go.
it.
So if I had a hashtag, my hashtag would be all are welcome at the table.
Mm.
And I really feel like you, Tina, resonate with that. Your offerings are like super welcoming. They're whoever, wants to come and participate. And I know I was supposed to go to one of your women's circles and I can't remember now. There was a conflict in the date. But I was like, I'm kind of worried because my knees are bad. And sometimes everybody has to sit on the floor. And you were like, don't worry, I saved chairs for people with bad knees. Like you were just
Yeah.
like right on it. Like making sure that I would be comfortable. And I can't wait. I know that we will meet soon and do that. So that's part of what I've noticed about you.
Thank you. Yeah, I love, in recovery, we deal with people who would normally not mix, right? It talks about that in our literature. And it's like, and I bring that to my healing circles. It's like I have all walks of life show up, and I think that's really, really important. I love the fact that I can open space for anybody from wherever they're at.
Yep. Well, thank you for doing that. And I see your cat. It's very
Yes.
cute.
Yes.
This is Bamboo. She's going to be a part of this.
Welcome. Hi, kitty. So I know that yesterday was a special anniversary for you. I'm wondering if you wanted to share a little bit about that.
Yeah. Yesterday, we celebrated 5 years of a meeting that I started when I think I had like a year sober. It was a dream of mine to start a meeting for women called Girls Gone Mild. and
I
I
Love
thought that
that.
was amazing. And like 4 years later, I made it happen. And it's been going strong for 5 years. It started in 6 or 7 months after it started, COVID hit. And we actually had to like swoop right into like Zoom territory, and it stayed. And then we had to make the decision to go back live. And it's literally been, I mean, I hear nothing ever but good about that meeting. Every time people come in, they talk about how welcoming it is, how the energy is so good. It's a book study. So we get right into solution, and we cross talk, and we talk about our experiences.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'd like to ask you, because I really enjoy the precepts of Reiki so much, and I know people have different versions that they practice, but how do you apply the precepts in your daily life, Tina?
I think for me, how I apply them is it just looks different every day. I think so. One of the things, and I just did a 30-day meditation challenge on Instagram, actually, and I'll just go off with that. So every single day, it didn't look the same. Like I wanted to teach that meditation can be 5 seconds, it could be 30 minutes, it could be in the car, it could be during a stressful time, like it can be everywhere. And to me, the 5 Reiki principles are the same. Like I don't like to put them in boxes. And I like to kind of just have them be like tools that I can pick up whenever I need. And like just really practicing it like practically rather than like up above everybody else. Like I really like to be grounded and down to earth with it. And two, like I'm not perfect and I'm human. And so I think part of practicing them is actually like struggling with them sometimes, and being able to catch that and being able to feel human and validate like the fact that I am not perfect, and then like go and get help from like a higher power for that. So I think that's a big thing about practicing them, is that it's not meant to be perfect.
Yes,
Nice.
I love that. I love that. That's so helpful. I think when I think about just for today, I will not be angry. I tell
Yeah.
my kids when I'm driving, like we drove
Yeah.
to the shore today to swim in the ocean in New Jersey, and I said, I'm working on my road rage. It's not really road rage, it's just road mild annoyance, right? But there's an opportunity to practice.
Yes.
So every day, every hour, every minute, if
Yes.
you're mindful.
Absolutely. Opportunities.
Thank you. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite? This is to either one of you. Do you have a favorite Reiki principle?
Ooh.
One that either
I
favorite
think
because you have to work on it or favorite because it's easy. Either way.
I feel like the grateful one is a big one for me, because that honestly, that's all about the perspective change. So anytime I'm not in gratitude, I'm going to be struggling in some area of my life. And so that one, it's like as soon as I can find gratitude, it changes everything. And like even having gratitude for unanswered prayers, or having gratitude for something that didn't go right, because I have so many past experiences of those things not happening because something else better is supposed to. And so, yeah, I would say the gratitude one is just the most like the game changer for me.
Mhm. That was the first one that came to mind for me too, Tina, but I actually think that I will be kind to every living
Oh,
thing, because that includes myself. And you know what we do, the three of us, what we do for a living, we help other people, right? We're good at that. A lot of people who have struggled in recovery have had experiences where they are used to putting other people's needs first, right? So we're good helpers, right? I assume from the work that you do that, that's basic part of your day to day. But being kind to myself, that's been the biggest practice in my recovery, is like really paying attention to how am I speaking to myself, right?
Mm.
Like, am I giving myself grace and being patient with myself, right? So I think that that's something that I really try to remember, is to be kind to me.
Love that.
I think that for me, the one that I am working on the most is the not worrying, the fear. That's for me the most challenging. It comes up often, especially like right at this time in this country. I think that, in general, there's a lot of fear and worrying about, things that are happening politically, globally, social justice oriented things, and worrying about my daughter and worrying about my grandson and what kind of a world that we're living or leaving them, and what they're having to live in, making sure that there's good medical care, things like that, and trying to release the need to control. So I want to control everything. Like I want to change everything. I want it to be perfect. I want to be the helper. I want to rush in and rescue everything. And so, like, though it's kind of part and parcel for me, is letting go of the worry means also letting go of the fact that I don't need to rush in and I don't need to save everyone and I can't anyway, but just trying to kind of relax and let go. That's one of the Reiki principles that I feel like really is calling to me to work on, but also is my favorite because it reminds me every day of the work that I need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was one of the first things that I really struggled with in recovery. So I have um October 14th as my sobriety date. So I will have 13 years in October. And yes, it's so exciting. And I think that the thing that I really struggled with was um letting go. I just remember asking anybody that I met, what does that mean for you? What does that mean? Right? So what does it mean to let go, and how can Reiki help us to have faith and have confidence in ourselves and in our recovery?
Yeah. I The letting go thing to me is all about, I think I have to take it from what we automatically think when we think of let go, is we think of like releasing something and just be. And for me, letting go means action. Letting go is not so much for me focused on what I need to let go as on what I need to gain over here through action. And then that kind of automatically takes care of the other. It's always harder than it sounds, right? When we're trying to like let go, and it depends on what we're trying to let go of. But for me, it's more about just like, okay, what can I do over here that is for the good? Rather than like, let me focus on like this thing that I need to let go. And Reiki is action. You know what I mean? It is action. It means that I'm either making an appointment to go receive it. It means that I'm going to make time for myself for self Reiki. Like there is action within that. And that way, whatever needs to be let go in that moment automatically will.
Hmm.
I really love that because as a behavior analyst, one of the things that we do is teach what's called a FERB, FERB, functionally equivalent replacement behavior. And
Mhm.
it's what we do in recovery. Like we know, the three of us know from recovery, you can't just remove alcohol and what, sit around and stare at the walls because you're going to
Yeah.
drink again. You have to replace it. There's a hole that becomes a vacuum. So what I hear you saying is like, instead of focusing on like, yeah, I'm going to let this go, it's no longer serving me, you're going towards something else. You're grabbing onto something that's healthy, that's going to replace it, that's going to be more functional in your life. And that's absolutely behavioral. And it really, really is what the recovery work is finding things that are going to support us, that we can use, and they become easy, they become muscle memory. You do them over and over, and instead of reaching for something, whether it's shopping or gambling or drinking or whatever, smoking cigarettes, all of the things, then we have something else that we learn, oh, we can make this choice. We can feel the feelings. We can accept and identify, I'm feeling stressed right now. Don't try to push those down because that doesn't work, but just acknowledge, and then, nurture yourself by moving towards something that is going to be supportive and healthy. So I love that.
Yeah. And that reminds me too, a lot like in recovery, we learn about character defects, right? And so for me, when I'm in a character defect, it's about what is the spiritual principle opposite of that, and that gives me the choice. Like any time in my life, I have a choice, and I can be in the defect or I can be in the spiritual principle. And, in the spiritual principle is not something I have on my own. That is what I need a higher power for. That's when I need a connection to a spirit, to a source, to God, goddess, whatever you believe in, because that has that element, that spiritual principle. And I need to ask for that when I'm in a defect so that I can get to this side and replace it in that way. And that's why I love recovery, is they give you what to replace it with. There's a list, there's a list of defects and there's a list of spiritual principles. So I love that.
Yeah. What would you say to someone who is new to recovery or new to Reiki and they're looking to move forward and make progress in their healing? What advice would you give to them?
Move forward in their progress for what?
In their healing, in their own personal healing.
Trust people that you have what you want. Find somebody that has the energy that you want. Find somebody that seems to be joyful, that's not, because here's the thing, people can be in recovery and still be miserable.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like we've seen it. We know what that means. And the same thing, people can have Reiki levels because they went and spent money on it and not practice it at all. You know what I mean? Like it's not necessarily, oh, that person is this many years sober or is a Reiki master, they must be, whatever. It's like, no, you look for somebody who's actually doing the deal, and you'll know that based on the joy they have in their life, based on the fact that they're showing up for other people, like what is their experiences looking like, and then ask them what they did and do that.
Mm-hmm. That's such a great answer. How did you come to Reiki in your recovery? Or did you find Reiki first? What was that like for you?
So no, I found Reiki later, but I think I had like 8 years or something of recovery. And I was having really bad negative self-talk pop up. And like I was doing all of the tools and it just wasn't going away. And I was like, let me go try Reiki. Tried Reiki. It worked beautifully. And I think because I'm so recovery minded, I was automatically like, how can I give this to others? It was just like, I need to do this because I need to help other people with this. And that's how it happened. But when I learned with my Reiki master, she was like, I'm not teaching you anything. Like, and it felt like I've been doing this many, many lives. Like it just felt like I had stuffed it down with the drinking and everything. And when I went and got, infused with that, it was just like coming home, and it just felt like it's been happening, forever. So that's kind of how I came into it and wanted to become a Reiki master today.
100%. I so relate to that. Do you, Andrea? Like it
Yes.
felt like coming home?
Yeah.
Yes. And I feel like, because it sounds like your background is in 12 steps and my background is in 12 step too. And, back then when I was first trying to get sober, I was in my 20s and I'm in my 40s now. So there weren't a lot of games in town. And that program was so helpful for me. And it continued to be so helpful for me because it exposed me to women who were trying to make positive changes in their lives and were supporting other women. And that felt really unique and really special. And so even though it took me several times to get to the point where I had continuous sobriety, I think because I had that solid foundation, I had that strong desire for recovery, I was able to open myself up without the alcohol. I was able to open myself up to what felt like a natural system of healing, Reiki, right? And I do think that the people and the places, the situations that I found myself in were so fitting for what I needed at the time.
Yeah, love that.
I want to give a shout out to Shelly and Mike Kammermeyer, who were my first Reiki 1 and 2 teachers, because I'm sure they probably, I don't know, well, who knows what they thought, but I was like so excited and happy when I found it. They were, I was like, I couldn't get enough. I was texting all the time and they put up with me. So thank you for that, because I was just so enthusiastic. I loved it, loved it, loved it. Felt like coming home. And it makes me want to ask this question, because we're all sitting here talking about an experience that we've all had. The three of us know exactly what it's like. It's this wonderful thing. But what somebody who's just watching this, what is Reiki? What is Reiki?
So when I get asked that question, it is the hardest thing in the world to answer. And I relate it to recovery. When you talk about your personal spiritual experience, it means so much to you, but you tell it to somebody else and they're just like, okay, so a cool wind blew. It's like so like hard to capture. And I feel like Reiki is the same way, because people experience it differently. And so it's so broad and it's such a personal experience that it's like, how do you capture that in words? It's almost impossible. It's like, I love when people are just like, I don't know what it is and I don't care, I'm going to try it. Because then they're given the dialogue, the vocabulary in their own minds on what it is, if that makes sense, and not me. Because for me it might be different for them. I mean, obviously, in a nutshell, Reiki is energy healing, right? Reiki is this universal life force, and I'm a conduit. And I always tell people, whenever you stub your toe, the first thing that you do is you put your hands on it, because we all want to palm heal. That's literally ingrained in us, like a mother's kiss. For a boo-boo, that is energy healing. So basically what Reiki is it's connecting you back to that, because we have all lost it with today. Again, that's not an answer, right? It's just so
It
hard.
is an answer. No, it is an answer. I think that's totally true. And the more I do Reiki now, the more my palms heat up when I see somebody in distress. It's like a reflex. It's an automatic thing. Like I want to go put, random people. So I don't do it. I manage to prevent myself from going up to people in the grocery store and like, feel ya. But it does, it reconnects you to that life force energy that we've forgotten we're connected to. And it's it's like a tangible physical feeling that you have and you just want to share it.
Yes.
I believe you call yourself a Reiki warrior on your social media, and I love that so much, and I want to know what that means for you. What does it mean to be a warrior?
So my first attunement, my Reiki 1 attunement, I got this vision, very strong, of what I thought at the time was my higher power finally. And it was this badass warrior woman standing there with like a spear and just her hair. And I was just like, whoa, like I just met my God, like I just met my higher power. And so I came home and I talked to my husband, and when I was like, I'm going to learn, like I'm learning this and I want to create a business. And that it was just like popped out, because it was like Reiki warrior, because that's what she was, and I love that it can be both. Like I can be a Reiki warrior, but I'm also healing other warriors, and so it's like I love the play between like what that could mean. But that's where warrior came from. It was the vision of her.
Yeah, it's like you are seeing a vision of yourself.
It was amazing. And I've learned through shaman work who she is. So it's been super cool.
Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, and through shaman work, there's different worlds with different guides, and she's my upper world guide, and she's a pretty badass. She looks just like that, but when I actually met her through shamanism, which is basically like, a meditation that you do through drumming. So you have visuals, and when I met her, she looked like that, and I found out she was just like, she's a guide, a spirit guide for upper world, which is the highest self. And she just said, I'm only presenting this way to you because this is catching your attention. But really, she was just like this like light source. And it was
Mm,
just, yeah, very cool. But she shows up in my sessions. I call on her through Reiki and shamanism, and she's just standing there, just powerful.
Yeah.
love that.
Can you explain to people how they might do that themselves?
Do what?
How they might call on their guides, how they might call on, um, any type of supports to help facilitate the process. I think it's kind of an abstract idea. What might that look like in real life?
Yeah, I think for some people, it's important to go get that kind of work done so you can meet your guide. Like that's what I help people do in my shaman work. I take them through drumming journeys where they meet guides, like they meet their own, protection, like they meet their own spirit power animal. They meet guides with that, and then they can like connect with them later. But if you already have like a sense of what your higher power, your guides, any of that is, for me, it's literally just acknowledging. It's a conscious contact. And so it's just like being conscious that they're there and really like making space for them, bringing them in through meditations, just asking them, like, please join. Like, let me be a conduit for you. Let me be a channel for you. Let, whatever I need to see, let me see. Whatever they need to see when I'm doing my Reiki sessions, whatever they need to see, let them see. So for me, if you're wanting to make contact, I think it's just through conscious contact. Like it doesn't have to be anything crazy or woo woo or quiet. It's just remembering that they're there.
Mm, that's beautiful.
If that makes sense.
Nice. Yeah, it does. I want to ask how, let's see, how do I want to, as a 911 operator, do you bring Reiki into your day? Do people that you work with know that you're a Reiki master? Because I mean, that's got to be intense. And I can imagine that your employer might have like questions or boundaries like are you doing Reiki with these people that are in distress, like how does that play? Because I know like with my job, like there's boundaries. We can't just be randomly doing Reiki here and there, or at least not talking about it. So what does that look like for you in your work?
Very cool experience. So what a yin yang existence, right? To like do that kind of work and do Reiki. When
Yeah.
I was starting Reiki and I was like wanting to practice on people, so many of my coworkers signed up for that. Like the cops, the dispatchers, like they came and got
Oh,
Reiki, and oh my God. And like some of them continued. They're so into it. I had everybody like getting crystals, and there's crystals throughout dispatch. The chief has crystals.
wow.
Actually our chief so I offer Reiki for your workplace. So I can go into people's workplaces for 4 hours and do mini Reiki sessions for everybody. And our chief actually brought me in to do that for law enforcement. So I got to come to the station and I got to give mini Reiki sessions. And also I got to do that for our city hall.
Ah.
So
That's
So
cool.
equal
amazing.
receptive to that. What was that like? That
So
That
great.
experience?
to me, like I'm all about crossing the barriers like that. Like I'm all about like there's a lot of people out there that know Reiki and understand Reiki and are in that like, but it's the people that it's not really offered to. The people that aren't even near that circle. They're not following any of that on Instagram. It's not in their
Right.
minds. They don't know anything about it. That is where I like to be because I feel like what's so beautiful is I'm not just an outsider. That's why it works, right? I'm not just some woo woo person like coming in. I'm one of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I am a
Mhm.
911 dispatcher. I am in it with them. And I think it gives me some kind of credibility and trust, right? And they've all, I didn't have anybody not like it. They were all just like, wow. And I've had a couple like become clients, after that. Um, it's just to me like that. And that opportunity doesn't just like, I know how important that was. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
respected that decision so much, that trust so much. And I am so, so grateful that I was given that opportunity. And I hope more businesses will bring me in. I've talked to other agencies and it's hard. They don't have the money and they don't know what it is. And but I'm putting it out there, man. It doesn't have to just be law enforcement, schools,
Yeah.
nurses,
Yeah.
anything. Like that's what I'm here for, just so you can get a taste of it.
Yeah, that's really brave what you're doing, I think.
For sure.
Yeah.
And
What
they know,
most
like dispatch, all my coworkers joke about it. They know, they're just like, are your hands tingling right now? Or just like I went and like saged one of their homes and like I was able to pick up on something that only they would know. And so like when I'll just say, like, I think a certain call is about to come out and it'll come out and they'll just be like, Tina. So it's very open there.
Yeah.
what most surprised you about Reiki?
Ooh, what most surprised me about Reiki? That's a hard one. Because again, it just felt like it didn't feel like there were surprises. It felt like I said, like coming home. I guess I'll say what surprised me about Reiki is the amount of people that I've been able to help.
Mm.
I think that, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, because that's
Mhm.
not what I didn't realize, I really, when I started Reiki, yeah, I wanted to help other people, but I didn't think I'd have a business. And then I really just feel like everything like was just like happening without me like doing too much planning. So it was very interesting how that worked. But yeah, I love the surprise of the different walks of life that I have been able to help a little bit.
Yeah.
It's been a real blessing. I'm so glad that you're out there being a representative for Reiki because it's your energy and your passion that this field needs. I'm still a little bit, I mean, here I am on YouTube doing this, but it's still a little safe because I'm in my little office behind, camera, and you're up there like in police in police departments going, "Can I give you some Reiki?" Like that, that's a big difference. That's really great.
Yeah.
Thank
Andrea, what about
you.
you? What most surprised you about Reiki?
Well, it's interesting. I did Reiki a few times in a local hospital, like a community hospital, small hospital. And the woman that I was doing the volunteering with was a nurse who she had worked for, I think, 40 years in this same hospital system. So everyone knew her. So we would actually go onto the floor. This was after COVID, but COVID was still kind of happening. So we would go onto the floor and she would ask people she would ask the nurses at the nurses station if there was anybody that we could provide Reiki for, any of the patients. And because she had that trust, right? Most people knew her because they worked with her. She had retired. They would direct her to patients that could benefit from Reiki. But every time we went, whenever it was a new nurse, we had to explain to them what Reiki was again, because nobody knew what Reiki was. And we did a like a self-care affair for nurses and hospital workers, and they all came and we did massage, we did essential oils, we did Reiki, and they were all very open to it, but they had no sense of it. Working in healthcare, interestingly, she actually did teach Reiki to some of the nurses for continuing education credits. But even though people didn't know what it was, and a lot of people were actually really skeptical and unsure, once they said, okay, I'll try it, like you said, everybody had a really positive experience, and especially the patients.
That's
So I think
beautiful.
it's surprising to me how open some people really are, people that you wouldn't expect them to be open to it. How
That
about you, Lynn?
sounds,
What surprised you the most about Reiki?
um, I would say that I got into it for physical healing, and what surprised me is that it's been far more about mental, emotional, spiritual
Mhm.
healing, and intuition and psychic abilities just exploded that I didn't know I had. And I didn't even know it was part of Reiki. Like I was thinking it was like, you put your hands on and you learn how to do some sort of like magical woo-woo thing that's going to happen, and then my knee arthritis would go away. But that wasn't really what happened. The healing has been, mind, body, soul. But being able to, Andrea and I have practiced a little bit doing distance Reiki on each other, and being able to know things that nobody else would know that she didn't tell me, and then it happens 2 weeks later. Like that's surprising because I had no idea that that was out there. But I don't know anyone who's really gotten into Reiki who hasn't said that their intuition and their psychic abilities has really exploded. So I think that it's part of Reiki is actually tapping into this quantum consciousness, this great non-local consciousness that is part of the one that we're all part of, and it's part of it is remembering that we're all part of this one, we're all the same. And so we can tap into the group consciousness, and it's just been like it's so exciting, it's so thrilling. I feel like it's really neat. So I love that. That's my surprise part.
Love it.
I love that too.
Do you have a website? And I know like your Reiki Warrior on Instagram, but what do you have a website, Tina, for people to
Yeah,
find you?
yeah, and it's the same, ReikiWarriorHealing.com.
Okay,
Yeah, I have a
great.
website where you can book. It shows all my different things I offer. Yeah.
Perfect. All right,
Are
great.
all your services in person, Tina?
No, I offer distance as well. I would say the majority of my clients are in person. But I do work with a couple people like in LA and Missouri. So I have, yeah, I've been able to do some distance because it works, but I feel like that's a harder sell for a lot of people. um, but
Yeah.
no, it's all over the place what I'm offering.
Yeah, because I'm thinking I wish I was planning a trip to California so I could,
Well,
well, see both of you,
I'm
but
gonna
also,
be in, where are you at? Because I'm about to be in Massachusetts.
oh, okay, I'm in Philadelphia. I'm originally
Oh,
from
okay.
Massachusetts. Yeah, I'm in Philly.
Yeah, I have a really beautiful opportunity coming up this month to go out to Kripalu. It's the largest healing center in North America, and the founder of Soulflow is putting on an event there, and I get to be one of the speakers. So during one of the events, so I'm very nervous and excited all at the same time.
Oh
How
my
do
gosh.
people sign up for that if somebody wanted to sign up for
I think
that?
she said she has like 3 spots left, and I believe it's on her through her website, Andy Love, ANDEELOVE. It's called Body Base Camp.
That sounds really fun. I can't wait to see. I know you'll be posting
Yes,
things from that, and we'll get to see. That's great that you're going to Massachusetts. Wow. It's such a pleasure just to see your career exploding. I love it for you. I love it for our field. I just, like I said, your joy is just contagious, and we really, really appreciate you.
I really appreciate
Any
you both.
last comments and questions for us? Otherwise, I think we can wrap this up, and Andrea can read the Reiki precepts, and
Yay.
we'll just do our thing. Anything else that we didn't ask or
Um,
that you wanted to share?
I definitely just do want to put it out there. You mentioned it that I do host monthly women's healing circles. They're usually in my home in Vallejo, sometimes in El Sobrante. Every single month is a different theme, a different workshop, a different modality of healing. And I also offer private gatherings. So if you have like a group of friends or family or coworkers that you want to get together for just like a private like healing workshop, I do that. I actually just received a request. I'm very excited about it. So Soul Flow, which I know you've seen on Instagram, it is a movement modality. Basically, you're dancing with your eyes closed for like an hour, and it's this beautiful release. And I just had a request for a private gathering of women to do it nude, under the
Wow.
moon, outside.
Nice. Oh my gosh. That is so exciting.
So I'm so excited about that. So yeah, whatever you can dream up, I will put out for you. And
Yes.
thank you. Thank you both so much. It was
Yes.
so good to like see your faces and the fact that you like asked me to be on here. And I love what you're doing. I love the fact that you're being open about the recovery aspect and the Reiki, because recovery, if anybody's watching this in recovery, it says several times, like in our literature, depending on what recovery you're in, about growing spiritually, expanding spiritually, broadening your spiritual horizons, right? It's like when our lives get bigger because we're in recovery, our lives will get bigger. We need to have our faith get bigger with it. And
Mhm.
so to me, like Reiki is one of those things that fits right in there where it like takes your spirituality and expands it so that it can hold how big your life is getting. So thank you for putting that out there.
Yeah, thank you for
You're
sharing
welcome.
that. I just feel like I'm imagining the ripples, right? The ripples
Yeah.
in the pond from California to Massachusetts. It's so beautiful to see all of the souls that you're touching. I have one final question for you, which is in your communities, in your recovery and Reiki communities, we would love to know if there's someone that you would like to see us interview, because I think that
Ooh.
it's just really exciting, the connections that, for me, the connections that I've been making with Lynn, through Lynn, us being on different coasts, I feel like we have access to different circles. So if there's someone you can think of now, or there's someone you think of in the future, we would love to have that.
Yeah, I'll definitely think about that and let you know for sure. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah.
So if we're, I think I feel complete. I hope that you do too. This has been such a beautiful experience getting to know you. And I hope that we can continue to connect after this too, Tina. Um, so I'm going to share my version of the not my version, Usui's version, but let's give Usui credit of
Yeah.
my preferred version of how I use the how I recite the precepts, which I like to do in the morning and I like to do it in the evening, but I also like to do it throughout the day. And that's one thing that I did early in recovery, is like I would just hold on to the serenity prayer whenever
Yep.
I needed it, right? Like I felt like it got me through so many difficult times. And now my go-to is really the precept. So um, this is my version that I like to use. Just for today, I will not be angry. I will not worry. I will be grateful. I will be honest. And I will be kind to every living thing. Thank you so much for being here, Tina.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. It was great to finally like chat face to face. You're
Absolutely.
beautiful. I can't wait to meet you in person.
Same.
We have to make a plan to do that soon.
Definitely.
All
Thank you,
right.
ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Lynn. Thanks, Tina. Bye, everyone.